Today we're going to discuss the time series modeling on GARCH, which is a model on volatility, particularly volatility clustering. So may I request you to load these packages: Quant Mode, XTS, Performance Analytics, RU GARCH. This is the star of the lesson. This is what we're going to use for modeling GARCH. TSM, we have used this before in time series. Forecast also for prediction. And FinTS, will be using this for testing whether a time series has an arch effect. And then we can use the MTS. However, I'm having difficulty loading this. So kindly inform me, class, if you were able to load the MTS package. If not, it's okay. We'll just use the FinTS package. Did you have difficulty loading MTS? Or were you able to install that package?
Na-load.
Na-load nyo? Okay, that's good. Kasi ako hindi ko ma-load eh. Let me try again. Even hinanap ko na yung yung sa dev tools nito. And I tried it, hindi pa rin nag-aano. So let me try loading MTS. If not, it's okay. I look for another package that can measure arch effects. Okay, so while it's trying to install, okay, I hope everybody has loaded these packages. Okay, so let's briefly discuss what a arch GARCH model is. Okay, if you recall, we modeled the Windows Apple, was it Apple or Microsoft? A certain stock before. And then we even used the auto.arima package in order to determine the best ARIMA model for that stock. And when we plotted the autocorrelation function, the correlogram, both the ACF and the PACF, we noticed that the ACF and the PACF had significant spikes at different lags. So that's indicative that our model is not, there's still autocorrelation among the residuals. So our model does not exhibit a white noise residual. When that's the case, and if that's the model that's being suggested by the auto.arima, then perhaps our ARIMA model is not able to capture the residuals. So that could mean that we have to use another type of model. And enter comes GARCH. When we plotted the autocorrelation function, or the residuals, I mean, of the time series that we modeled, we noticed that there was volatility clustering. It's a behavior of a time series where either the time series goes up consecutively or goes down consecutively. When that happens, when the price or the returns of that stock, if that's what we're analyzing, goes up consecutively, then it will produce what we call volatility clustering. So you'll see there are huge spikes going up, and then huge spikes going down. Okay, now it loaded. I'm surprised it didn't load a while ago. Okay, all right. So it can be going up or going down. So when there's volatility clustering, chances are this might not be modeled properly by ARIMA. So that's why it's imperative that we use another model. So the family of GARCH models allows us to model conditional volatility. Okay, so the GARCH model is very useful where there's volatility of a time series. So we already mentioned defined what volatility clustering is. And the generic formula for our GARCH model is this. Notice that we're not, what we're modeling is the variance. Okay, it's sigma squared because it's the volatility. Okay, it's the variance that we're modeling. So what we're modeling here is sigma squared at time t. It's equal to a certain constant, okay, a certain average of your volatility plus alpha 1 times error squared log 1. Okay, you notice that the error is squared. Unlike an AR or an ARMA process where you have error terms, log of error terms, but they are not squared. Diba? If you recall, kunyari MA1 model, it has an epsilon sub t minus 1 component, but it's only epsilon sub t minus 1, not epsilon squared t minus 1. Okay, so you have a component for the past error residual squared and the past error variance. Okay, so beta 1 is the coefficient for the log 1 of the variance, and alpha 1 is the coefficient of the log 1 errors squared. Okay, if you take a look at this whole model, then we can model the volatility, the variance, by a certain constant plus a factor of your residual squared at log 1 plus your variance squared or volatility squared at log 1. Okay, and some notes to consider: omega, alpha, and beta should all be positive to make sure that the variance is always positive, because we cannot have a negative variance. So if omega, for example, is negative and it's greater than the sum of these two, components, then you'll have a negative term. And that's not possible because you're measuring variance, and variance is always positive. Also, alpha and beta, alpha plus beta, the sum of them should be less than 1. To ensure that the predicted variance, this is what we're predicting, the variance, will always return to a long-run variance. It means that variance is always mean reverting. So it will go to a certain level and then go back down if it's going up. And then if it's going down continuously, it will go up again. So that means it's mean reverting. It cannot be explosive in the sense that it will go down continuously without reverting back to the mean. Okay, and we can actually compute for the long run variance given the omega, alpha, and beta to be equal to omega over 1 minus alpha minus beta. So I gave you here some good references. You may wish to access that, especially in your final report, guys. So today we're going to make use of Apple prices from 2008, January 1 up to 2020, 12/31. We're going to use a quant mode package in order to access that data. So let's run the first 3. So this will give us the Apple stock prices. Where's our view? It's taking some time to load. Okay, so I have now my Apple stock prices. Okay, and you know, guys, when we use quant mode, it gives us 6 different measures here: opening, high, low, close, and then the volume, and then the adjusted price. Okay, then we ask for the class, the data type. It's an XTS, extensible time series, or zoo object. Okay, then let's have the chart plotted using the chart series function. Okay, you can see here the plot of the Apple prices. Okay, you can see here the increase over time. So there's a trend. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any seasonality here. Okay, and of course we can get the subset of a particular plot. For example, let's just plot the December of 2020. We have that. Okay, just a minute, guys. Okay, are you able to follow so far, guys? Any questions? Okay, I don't think you have any questions for this because you're already familiar with this. Okay, so now we're not going to model the prices. We're going to model the stock returns. And usually this is what's being modeled. Analysts are more interested not in the price, but in the returns of the stock. So we can use from the performance analytics package, you can compute for the returns using the calculate returns function. So we create an object called AppleRet. Okay, AppleRet, and then we use a performance analytics package and the calculate returns function. And then we just adjust the returns of the adjusted prices. Okay, let's just use the adjusted prices. Okay, as I said here, it's usually the returns of the stock that's modeled rather than the price. Okay, so let's run this. All right, so we now have this object AppleRet. I now have it. It's an XCS object. And then let's view this. Okay, so the Apple adjusted AAPL dot adjusted. We can, of course, change the name, but let's not anymore do that. And you can see that there's a missing value here because when you get the returns, the first value will not have any returns because there's no prior value to base it on. Okay, so let's just remove that, guys. So we're maintaining the same name, AppleRet, and then we just remove the first row. So we now have that AppleRet. So no more missing value. We have to remove that because that could create trouble for us if we don't do that. So if we plot the Apple returns, you notice that it has no more trend. No, usually when we're dealing with we're actually getting the percentage change. No? That tends to remove the trend. Okay, so there's no trend. However, we can see that there's volatility here. Okay, you can see that there are spikes here in several areas. Okay, so let's try to see if Arima will be able to model this. And let's check if the residuals will be white noise. Okay, we can also look at the histogram if we use the hist function. Okay, you can see that this is the histogram. And it's not very apparent here, but there seem to be fat tails, especially on the negative side. Okay, kita natin dito medyo may mga long tails. So let's use this. The chart.histogram. Okay, so here we can see this is a better depiction of the histogram. Okay. The normal here is your red. Okay, ito yung actual natin. So we can see here long fat tails, no? Both on the left and on the right, but more on the left. More on the left. It shows the plot. It shows the returns distribution is not normally distributed. More flat tails and more negative returns. Okay, which is something critical when we model this. Okay, so let me see. We have actually done this, no? Yeah, I think I did this already. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I used chart series a while ago. So okay, sorry, na-repeat lang. No? Okay, then let's test, guys, if this is stationary already. If you recall, guys, we can use the augmented decay Fuller test. Remember, before we can model a time series, we have to make sure that the model is the time series is stationary. It looks like it's stationary. Okay, it's the mean is constant. The mean is constant at 0 here. and there's no volatility, of course, no trend anymore. So if we have the augmented Dickey Fuller test, the null hypothesis being that the series is not stationary. So alternative hypothesis natin, it's stationary. Therefore, the p-value is 0.01. So we reject the null hypothesis that the time series is not stationary. So the time series is already stationary, and we can use the usual modeling for this. Okay. Now, let's first take a look at some measures. Kasi guys, ang importante sa atin dito, hindi lang yung returns, but the volatility of the returns. So how do you measure volatility? Volatility is measured by the standard deviation. So we can use the SD function of R to determine ano ba yung standard deviation itong Apple returns na to. And we have 0.02. But take note, this is daily, no? Daily volatility to kasi daily yung prices natin, daily returns natin. So we're more interested in annualized volatility. So what we do, how do we convert the daily volatility to annual volatility? We get the standard deviation and then we square it by the number of trading days of a particular period. So the average trading period for a year is 252. So we get the square root of 252 to get the standard deviation. Okay, so let's run this. So yung 0.02 na daily volatility, it's actually 0.32 na annualized volatility. Okay, so assuming that there are 252 trading days. This should be trading, sorry. Wrong spelling. Trading days. Okay, and we can get the volatility, the annualized volatility of, let's compare 2008, 2009, and the last 2 years. Let's run this. Okay. So ito yung 2008, okay, 2009, 2019, 2020. Okay. You can see here guys na mataas yung volatility nung 2008. You know, this is during the GFC, no? Global Financial Crisis. Not so much in 2009. However, it ballooned once again in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic pa, no? Mataas din siya nung COVID. So that was expected kasi talagang may mga extraordinary events na nangyari at that time. So that caused the stock prices and of course the returns to really become to be very volatile, no? Okay. Now, we have the annualized volatility. Now, sometimes ang ginagawa nila, what they do is to get a rolling measure. So where am I? And rolling measure guys ng volatility. Okay? So, how do we do that? Pwede tayong gumamit ng rolling monthly volatility, pwedeng rolling quarterly, no? Okay, so there are different ways to measure your rolling volatility. Pag rolling volatility, ibig sabihin nun, kunyari, 22 days lang ang kukunin standard deviation. Tapos, ang gagawin, yung next day, isasama, tapos yung last day, tatanggalin. So, fresh 22 days lagi yun. Okay? And then you compute for the volatility for each of the 22-day period. Okay? So, let's first run this. Let's see what itong 22-day volatility looks like. Tingnan natin yung yung plot niya ito, no? So ito yung Apple returns monthly rolling volatility. Monthly kasi 22 days to, no? You can see guys na it's less noisy compared to the daily volatility kasi pag daily guys, di ba? I-plot ulit natin yun, ha? I'll plot that again. Di ba? Napaka-noisy niya, di ba? Siyempre, mas maraming observations eh. You can really see the volatility clustering. Now, if we temper it a bit by doing a rolling monthly volatility, 22 days, Okay, tapos annualized yung pag-compute natin ng standard deviation, you have that. If we make it quarterly, 66, no? 66, ibig sabihin, first 66, tapos susunod na 66, etc., etc. Okay, if we run this, okay, what happens is lesser na yung noise niya, no? Mas na smooth na siya. So kapag mas malaki yung yung window ng pagkuha ng volatility, mas nasa smooth out siya. Okay, compare this with your monthly 22-day or your daily, diba? Mas noisy yung daily. And lastly, we can use a yearly, no? 252 days. If we do this, so it will be a bit smoother, no? A bit smoother. We can plot this all together sa isang tatlong rows, isang column. So let's plot everything para may side by side, row by row comparison tayo. Run that. And then you have now the plot. Okay. So sinide by side lang natin yung plot. As I mentioned a while ago, yung monthly compared to the quarterly or yearly rolling volatility, the monthly is noisier. No? Mas nakikita natin yung ups and downs siya. Of course, nothing beats the daily data. No? Hindi pa pala, meron mga fractionally integrated na data. Ibig sabihin by the second, by the minute, yun, mas noisy talaga yan. So the lower the span of time, the more it will capture yung volatility ng data natin. Okay. Now, may weakness yung rolling charts, ha? Kasi yung rolling charts it uses yung it uses yung historical data, and it's quite very simple in practice. So, mas importante, kasi bakit natin minomodel yan? Para ma-predict yung volatility, no? But there's a more complicated, there's a more, let's say, not complicated, a more robust model instead of just computing for rolling volatilities. So, ito yung gumagamit ng GARCH. Sabi natin, optimal investing requires to be forward-looking. Ang problema ng rolling estimates is backward-looking siya. And that can be done using the GARCH model. Okay, so let's first, we know this already, let's fit an ARIMA model for this. Let's create this object, fit that one using the auto.arima function. Okay, we're modeling yung Apple returns, no? And then trace is equal to true. Let's run this, and it gives a model, best model daw. Best model is 200. So this is an AR2 process, no? So si AR2 process, guys, equation natin yan will be, kung kunin natin coefficients, log values of itself, no? Y sub t minus 1 at saka y sub t minus 2. Okay? With zero mean. So walang mean. Okay, ito yung measure ng, I think AIC. Ito yung lowest na AIC. Now, you can of course, kasi ito guys, yung auto.arima, ang default niya, nagsi-stepwise regression siya. So if you recall yung stepwise regression, it starts with a model and then comes up with a more improved model. Now, kung kung walang stepwise, lalagay natin stepwise is equal to false. So, i-run natin itong pangalawa. And this will generate more models. No? Kasi hindi siya magsi-stepwise. Yan. It will generate more models. Yan, mas marami, no? Several models, and ang model niya dito 302, no? 302. So, however guys, ito hindi gumagamit ng hindi siya gumamit ng I did not use the stepwise regression. 302, 16233, diba? Yung kanina ba ilan? Okay, 16241. Mas maliit yung ano, mas maliit yung AIC corrected yata to ng ARIMA 200 model natin. Okay? So let's follow the auto.arima na stepwise, no? Kasi ito stepwise is equal to false. Ibig sabihin, tinanggal natin yung functionality na stepwise regression. Okay, so parang wala siyang comparison, no? One model at a time lang siya. Yung stepwise kasi talagang it really removes models based on a certain parameter. Okay, so we're going to use this sa fit1 model. Pero compare muna natin, no? Plot lang natin tong Okay, so take a look at the residuals. Okay, zero mean naman siya kaso kita natin na may volatility clustering, no? Si fit2 yan, no? Tapos yung ano natin, because of that guys, tingnan natin yung ACF to ACF natin. May mga significant spike siya. Okay, so ibig sabihin may correlation, autocorrelation, no? Which means that hindi talaga na-capture yung residuals. Because nga of the presence of yung volatility clustering. And even if we use yung fit1, let's plot fit1. Okay, ganun din. Still the same. Okay, may mga volatility clustering din. Okay, malamang ito yung ano yung 2008, no? Yung GFC 2008-2009. Tapos ito yung sa COVID, no? Kita natin yung clustering ng volatility on those sabi natin extraordinary years. And then yung ACF niya, ACF and PACF, may mga ano pa rin, may mga significant spikes pa rin, no? So we cannot consider this as white noise. Okay, so hindi niya ma-capture talaga yung ano, yung residuals. Hindi niya ma-model ng tama. Okay? So let's also see guys yung mga squared residuals kasi aside from looking at the residuals, tinitingnan din yung squared residuals. Okay, so let's create this object. We see that fit1 will be, which is the residual of fit1, yung unang model natin. So we created this object, receive that fit1, and then we square this. In-square natin to, created this object RR. So that's your residual squared. Okay, and then let's plot the ba't nakaganto to? Okay. Okay. Tingnan natin guys yung residual squared, no? Oh. Okay. Yung residual squared, hindi siya white noise. If we plot the plot natin si RR. Plot natin si residual squared. Okay. Talagang makikita natin guys dito, no? May mga clustering talaga dito. Yung residual squared. Okay. So it's now time guys to check kung may arch ba to. Arch, as you know, it means autoregressive conditional heteroskedasticity. Yung presence ng heteroskedasticity dun sa residuals natin, which was shown by the non-white noise yung ACF at saka PACF natin. Okay, so let's use a FinTS package so okay, dito muna ako, no? Both plots show that some spikes are out of the white noise bands. Okay, so may autocorrelation siya. So indication siya ng may heteroskedasticity. So it's indicative that we can't just use the ARIMA model, dapat mag-GARCH tayo. So yung GARCH guys developed by Engel and Robert Engel, tapos pati yung student niya si Tim Bollerslev. So nag-tie up sila para maano yung GARCH model. Ang GARCH muna yung kay Engel, no? And then later on, it was joined by Si Tim Bollerslev, yung student niya, siya yung nag-develop talaga ng GARCH. Okay, so we're going to test whether yung residuals natin nag-exhibit ng conditional heteroskedasticity. So ang null hypothesis natin, the residuals exhibits no arch effects. Ang alternative natin, may arch effects. So using the FINTS and the arch.test, let's run this. Okay, so p-value is less than 0.05. Null hypothesis itong arch test ni FINTS package is walang arch effects. Therefore, we reject the null hypothesis. There's strong statistical reason to believe that indeed there is arch effect. Meron tayong mga heteroskedastic yung mga error terms natin. Okay? So may mga references ako dito kung gusto nyong puntahan to, no? Okay. So since hindi natin pwedeng gamitin lang si ARIMA, it's not sufficient yung ARIMA model natin. Kung white noise sana siya, sufficient na, di ba? We had an example like that na after doing some transformation, naging ano na yung ano natin, yung residual plots natin, white noise na siya. So ARIMA was enough to model that time series. Ito hindi. So gagamit tayo ng GARCH, arch GARCH model. Okay, so paano natin gagamitin yan? We're going to use the very powerful RU-GARCH package. So anong ginagawa nitong RU-GARCH package? Let me just read. Comprehensive set of methods for modeling univariate. No? Ibig sabihin, isang time series lang yung minomodel natin. Okay, pag gusto nyong i-model yung more than one, two or more time series, okay, then you're going to use the RM-GARCH package. R multivariate. No? Pero for our study today, it will only be a univariate. Okay, maraming klaseng GARCH, guys. No? And RU-GARCH has different models that come with it. Ano nga natin, tinong mo natin yung package. No? RU-GARCH. Let's check the package itself. Okay, saan na siya? Na-load ko rin yung MTS. Ito yung MTS, guys. So, multivariate time series. We could have used this also for GARCH, arch GARCH effect. What happened? Nag-run pa. Okay, so, okay, guys, ito, no? All right. Marami siya. Wait. RU-GARCH. Ito, the RU-GARCH package. If I click this, yan. So I won't go into the details, guys, pero okay, it's a very powerful package. Tapos let me go to back muna ako. No? Sige, mamaya lang pagpunta na tayo sa model natin. Okay, maraming klase guys, no? The GARCH model has evolved over time. Ang dami ng iba-ibang GARCH models ang nag-develop, no? For different purposes. So this is just one, yung S-GARCH, which is the standard S-GARCH or GARCH, simply GARCH, standard na GARCH to, no? Constant mean, okay? Ang tawag sa kanya GARCH 11. There are others here. We will not be able to discuss everything, guys, kasi napakarami nito, no? Let me just show you guys. So dito, ito, no? GARCH naman using the skewed student t distribution. Kasi yung unang gagamitin natin yung normally distributed. Ang assumption natin normally distributed yung residuals natin. And then meron din ditong GJ GARCH, no? These are the names of three persons. Ang hirap lang tandaan ng ito. Glostan, para mga Indian yata ito, Jagannathan and Runkel method. No? GJR GARCH. May purpose yan, guys, kung ba't GJR GARCH yung ginagamit. Tapos number 4, we have combined, no? AR1 and GJ GARCH. Okay, so dito isasama natin yung ARIMA model plus the GJR GARCH. Tapos number 4, you have GJR GARCH in mean. Okay, tapos ito naman yung iba na yung simulation. Okay, so here I have listed 5 methods. Madami pang iba, guys. May T-GARCH, may AP-GARCH, so many. I think from my last count, 10 na ba? I think there are even more than 10 now, no? Na GARCH modeling. But usually naman, guys, kaya na even sa unang-una pa lang, yung S-GARCH pa lang, usually okay na eh. Okay? But if you're really trying to compare methodologies, kasi minsan ganun yung research, no? Go-compare ng mga methodologies, then you will have to make use of other models of GARCH. Okay, so let's start, guys. Let's try to see what this modeling is. Ano ba yan? Isang row yan. Okay, this one. So let's start with the first basic model. Ito yung pinaka-basic na model ng GARCH. The standard GARCH. Okay? The standard GARCH, which is denoted by GARCH 1, 1. 1, 1, ito yung alpha. Ito yung beta. This one is your error squared, log 1, and then log 1 ng volatility or variance squared. Okay, it's called GARCH 1, 1. If you recall the equation kanina, where sigma squared is equal to omega plus alpha 1 epsilon squared t minus 1 plus beta 1 sigma squared t minus 1. Okay, yung linagay ko ng equation sa taas. Yung alpha 1 doon ito. Yung beta 1 ito. So this is the coefficient for your error squared t minus 1. This is the coefficient for your sigma squared at log 1. Okay? And we're going to make use of the RU-GARCH package. Okay. So, medyo simula, guys, medyo nakakalito tong RU-GARCH na package. Okay? So, unang-una gagamitin natin si U-GARCH. Dapat U-GARCH spec muna. Okay. Ito muna, no? We're going to make use of this first. I'm sorry about this. We're going to make use of the U-GARCH spec to define the specifications of our model. So, tingnan muna natin to. No? Let's create this object called spec. And then, we have this U-GARCH spec. And then, ipaprint natin yung spec. So, let's run this. Okay, so ito yung lalabas. No? Okay, wala pang result kasi, guys, wala pa naman tayong model na pinapagawa sa kanya. So you have here GARCH model, S-GARCH, standard GARCH 1, 1. Okay, yun ang default. No? And then variance targeting, false. We will discuss that as we go along. Mean model is our FIMA 1, 1. So nag-default siya sa ARMA 1, 1. No? But we can change this. FIMA means autoregressive. Yung MA dito, moving average, alam natin yan. So this is the AR component. This is the MA component. Yung FI dito, this is the fractionally integrated. So ito yung fractional integration, that's very important. Kung mga by the second yung data natin, by the minute. Doon yung ginagamit sa FIMA. If you're just dealing with daily data, di ba? Yung data natin hanggang daily lang tayo eh. So okay lang yung ARIMA, no? Pero kapag yung data na natin is by the second, by the millisecond, yun, ang ginagamit na dyan yung RFIMA. Okay? Include mean is equal to true, GARCH in mean is equal to false. Okay, and then you have here some conditional distribution, includes skew, includes shape, includes lambda. Ibig sabihin normally distributed yung default nito. Okay, so ito guys yung pinaka-basic model. In fact, ang basic nito 0, 0, 0 to, no? Which we're going to use. So yan ang binibigay ng ng U-GARCH spec. And we will have to identify guys yung Tatlo yung i-identify natin, no? Which I'm going to show you in a while. Okay, so we're going to use the Apple return data na meron na tayo. Okay, we're going to first use the UGARCH spec, tatlong components nun. Okay, yung mean, yung variance, at saka yung distribution niya. Okay, mean, ano ba yung mean returns? So mean returns, guys, gamitin mo natin yung pinaka-basic na ARMA 00. Ibig sabihin, the returns will just be modeled using a certain average. Mean lang, plus a certain error term. So walang AR component, walang MA component. Yun ang pinaka-basic na GARCH model. Walang contribution yung sa ARMA component. No AR and MA component. For the variance model, gagamitin natin sa C11, no? Yan ang pinaka-basic. Which means ito yung omega plus alpha 1 epsilon squared t minus 1 plus beta times sigma squared t minus 1. Okay, 1, 1. Log 1 ng epsilon squared, log 1 ng sigma squared, yung variance natin. Okay, for distribution, gagamitin natin, guys, si normal muna. Okay, so how do we now create that code? So dito, nag-create tayo ng isang object. Ang tawag natin sa object na yan, spec1, specification 1. And then, so this is the function UGARCH spec. And then, i-define natin tatlo, yung mean model, variance model, distribution model. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, guys, na tatlo dapat. So, we're going to use list, no? Then, ARMA order is equal to C00. Ibig sabihin, walang AR component, walang MA component. Okay? And then, variance.model, list ulit, S-GARCH. So kung GJR GARCH yung gagamitin nyo, lalagyan dyan GJR GARCH. For our purposes, standard GARCH muna tayo. Tapos distribution.model is equal to normal. Okay? Let me repeat, guys. So we're creating this object called spec1. We're going to use the function RUGARCH. This is from the RUGARCH package. Just to give them name place niya, RUGARCH, no? So tatlo din i-define natin dito, mean.model, variance.model, distribution.model. Later on, guys, pwede kayong mag-experiment dito. Pwede niyo ipasok yung ARMA 20 dun sa model ng pwede niyo ipasok yan. And then you can use other forms of GARCH. And then sa distribution, meron ng iba-iba dito. Merong standardized T, merong skewed standardized T, etc. So if I run this, now notice what's created is a formal class ng UGARCH spec. If I click this, okay, no? So it's a list. Ano ba laman itong isa lang yung laman ng spec, no? Si model. Tapos si model, ito yung mga laman niya, no? Okay, wala pa masyado kasi yung spec pa lang naman yung pinakita natin. Okay, so let's go on. Sorry. The second step is now fit a model. So gagamitin natin si UGARCH fit. Kanina, yung unang-una, UGARCH spec. Pangalawa, UGARCH fit. This will now fit the GARCH model. Okay? So gagamitin natin yung ginamit natin na spec. So napaka-simple, guys. Ito lang. Our model 1, let's call it model 1, is equal to UGARCH fit. Ang data natin, yung Apple returns natin. And then spec natin, yung define natin na standard GARCH na model natin. Okay? Ito yun. Spec is equal to spec1. Ito yun. Which is this one. So this defines the mean model, the variance model, and the distribution model. Okay, so let's run this. Dito natin siya i-run, guys. Kasi dito hindi inaano yung buo. So let me just Okay, lakihan lang natin yung space dito. Copy ko yung ano. Okay. All right. So, medyo mahaba-haba yung output, guys, no? Yan. Yan ang challenge pag GARCH model, guys. Kasi maraming parameters ang binibigay ni RU GARCH. So, let's briefly take a look at this. So, ito yung GARCH model natin. Okay, di ba ito yung ano natin, yung S-GARCH, Standard GARCH 1.1. Mean model natin. Ito yung ano, di ba? Yung variance model natin, yung mean model natin, at saka distribution model natin. Ito yung linagay natin sa GARCH spec, yung GARCH spec. 1.1, ibig sabihin, log 1 ng error squared, log 1 ng variance, sigma squared. Wala tayong sinama na AR at saka MA component, and distribution is normal. Okay. So for the S-GARCH, ito yung makikita natin. Ito. Itong new, guys, this is the model of the returns, no? Yun yung model ng returns. Ito yun. So let me just para clear sa atin. No? So na siya. Okay. Where is that? Yung returns model, yung sinulat ko dito yun. Masisimula ba? Okay, sorry, hindi ko makita, no? Yung returns model will be equal to, kung walang AR at saka MA component, it will be equal to a certain mu plus your error term. I can't find it, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry, hindi ko makita. Okay, back here, guys. So yung mu dito, guys, this will be now for the returns model. So AAPL rep is equal to a certain constant, 0.002007 plus a certain error term. No? And this is statistically significant. So parang intercept siya, parang average return siya. Na walang kasamang AR component at saka MA component. Situate ko lang, guys, para na intindihan natin sarili natin. No? Yung minomodel natin dito yung Apple returns. Okay? Pag nag-model tayo ng S-GARCH, ibibigay sa atin yung mu. That mu is, dali, ano ko nga, mag-annotate na ako. Para, okay. So, minomodel natin si returns, no? R sub T. In our case, ang R sub T natin si Apple, ba? Apple rep. Sorry for the writing, no? Ito yung minomodel natin, yung returns ni Apple. Okay. Isang minomodel natin yan. Yung pangalawa, yung variance. Okay. Variance ni Apple. Yung variance ni Apple returns. So that will be covered by this. Yan. So omega, which is equal to, ito yung omega plus alpha 1, ba? Times error squared. T minus 1, log 1 lang, no? Plus beta 1 times sigma squared, T minus 1. Yan. So these are the components of your variance. So omega, alpha, beta. Itong tatlong to. And they are all statistically significant. Okay? Si mu, guys, yun yung return function natin. So if you're going to spell out our model, you'll have Apple returns is equal to 0.002007 plus a certain error term. No? Okay, that's our model. Guys, sandali lang ha. Wait lang. Okay, so pwede natin isulat yung model natin, guys. And I leave you guys to write this. No? So ang variance squared natin will be 0.00015. Ito yung omega natin. Ito yung average na variance. Plus 0.12 times error squared t minus 1 plus 0.84 error sigma squared t minus 1. So that's our S-Garch model. Okay, so na-model natin, guys, na-model natin si Garch natin. That's it, guys. That's now using your S-Garch. Okay, of course, ite-test natin yung volatility, no? Ite-test natin yung residuals kung okay ba siya, no? But the parameters are significant, no? Significant siya. Okay. And then i-check natin, guys, yung natin, yung alpha at saka beta. If we add them, it's less than 1, so okay tayo, no? Ibig sabihin, mean reverting yung model natin. Kaya hindi siya nag-explode, hindi siya nag-go out of control. Okay. Now, let's take a look at some other details here which we're going to discuss in a while. Ano po makikita natin dito? Information criterion, alam natin na ginagamit natin yan to compare models. So if we're going to, for example, come up with another model, let's say ang gagawin natin hindi norm. Gagawin natin si SS skewed standardized t distribution, SSTD, instead of norm. So instead of using here, for example, instead of using here yung spec natin, instead of using here norm, we use SSTD, no? So may iba yung model, okay? Kasi hindi norm, hindi natin ina-assume na normal yung distribution ng residuals, okay? May iba yung values natin. So magkakaroon ng akaike, no? So compare natin, so sino mas maganda, yung normal ang gagamitin natin dito o yung SSTD based on akaike or base or Shibata or Hanan Queen, no? The smaller the better. So we'll be able to compare. Yun ang gamit nito. Okay. And then we have, tanggalin ko muna itong mga let me clear all drawings first. And then we have ito, no? Test ng standard residuals ito. Okay, standard residuals test. And also the standardized squared residuals. Ito residuals, ito squared residuals. Ang tinetest ito yung autocorrelation. Okay, ang sabi dito, ang null hypothesis, no serial autocorrelation. So gusto natin, guys, we don't want to reject this, no? Gusto natin walang serial autocorrelation. So we want the p-values to be we want the p-values to be greater than 0.05. Okay, we can see here, guys, at log 1, okay? May log 2 tayo dito, tapos may certain factor pa dito, no? At log 1, dito lang natin tingnan. So P is greater than 0.05. So we reject the null hypothesis. If we fail to reject the null hypothesis na walang serial autocorrelation. So based on the Leung-Box test, okay yung residuals natin. Walang autocorrelation. Even if you're looking at the squared residuals, wala rin. Wala rin, no? Aside from the Leung-Box test, meron ding Arch LM test, no? Ganun din guys yung inaano nito, ganun din tinatest nito. At log 3, ito naman at log 357. You see here, p-value is greater than 0.05. So reject din natin null hypothesis na yun. So it looks like, guys, yung sign bias test, ginagamit to for mamaya explain ko, no? But we won't go into there too much, no? Importante na sa atin kung okay ba yung autocorrelation, yung residuals, okay ba siya? Okay? So, looks like okay naman yung model natin, just using the very simple S-GARCH, no? Standardized GARCH. But let's look further. Tingnan natin. Yung model natin, guys, the U-GARCH fit yields several objects. Tingnan muna natin yung ano ba yung generate ng names ng model 1. Tingnan natin. Wala, hindi pala, no? Wait, sandali Mod 1, tingnan ko. Ito si mod 1. Okay, andun yung fit, andun yung model. Yung fit. Okay, yan yung mga laman, no? Coefficients, t-values, robust ng t-value, etc. So, maraming elements tong mod 1 natin, no? So going back here, let's try to see some of them. Okay? Coefficients, we can get the coefficients. Putting parent at the beginning, at the end, we know that it means that we want to print the coefficients of model 1. So there you go. And yung mean, and yung mean, omega, alpha 1, and beta 1. Okay, as I mentioned a while ago, these are your parameters. Okay, next. GARCH. Ito yung unconditional variance. No? So I created this object GARCH, unconditional variance. Okay. Ito yun, 0.003. Itong unconditional variance, by the way, guys, ito yung ginagamit to get the long run volatility. Okay, if we get the square root of that, get the square root of the, okay, ito yung long run volatility niya. Ibig sabihin, ito yung measure ng ng long run volatility ng time ng GARCH 1.1 model natin. And then we can get the fitted, yung mean value to, guys. Okay. Lahat kinuha niya yung mean value, no? Pero kasi, guys, di ba mu2 di ba? 0.002. So iisa lang talaga yan. Ito yung 0.002. So you'll just get one value there. And then ito naman yung sigma, ito yung sa volatility niya. Okay, predicted volatility. Yan. Okay, so you now have your volatility prediction. Okay, ito na yung predicted values ng volatility. Okay, so marami tayong makukuha, guys, dun sa model natin, no? Sa U-GARCH natin, no? U-GARCH model natin. Okay, so here I try to answer the questions, just basic lang, no? So what are the coefficients of the coefficients? Are they significant? Nasagutan natin yan. Ito yung mga estimated, parang may iba ako dito. Okay. Pakipalitan na lang to, guys, kasi mukhang I'm getting a different value here. It looks like ito na lang. I think I use a different 0.84, no? So ito dapat yun, no? So kindly make the necessary changes lang, guys. Sorry about that. So this should be close ko muna ito. Okay. So ito na yan, no? Are they significant? Yes. We were able to answer that question already. So what's the model for the return? So this one. So this is the actually AAPL, no? Okay, lagyan natin ng ano na lang ng gawin natin LaTeX, no? Return sa function of time is equal to apple sa function of time is equal to this, the mean, plus your epsilon sub t. Oops. Yan. Okay, so sorry, apple ret pa rin ginamit natin ng apple ret. Okay. All right, apple return is equal to 0.002027 plus a certain error term. That's the average, no? That's the average. Kaya may certain error term kasi kung i-compare natin, kung may ano na to guys, may hat na to, dapat wala ng error term to. Okay, and then also for the volatility naman, we also discussed this. Ito na, sinulat ko to, ano? H sub t guys, it's same as ano, yung sigma squared. So another name for sigma squared is ht. And this is the equation. Okay. So 0.124505, ito mali ito. Dapat to 0.084. Sorry. Kasi naka-base that sa lumang ano, control V. Kindly make the necessary changes lang guys. I'm sorry. Okay. So yan ang model natin guys ng variance natin. So it's a function of your error squared, log 1 of the error squared, and log 1 of your volatility or variance. Variance to yung H, sigma squared yan. Okay, and then ito yung sinabi natin kanina, AIC. Okay, yung akaiki natin. This is used to compare different models. Okay, are the standardized residuals autocorrelated? We already discussed this. Sabi natin na walang autocorrelation, which is good guys, no? Kung walang autocorrelation, ibig sabihin okay yung residuals natin. Okay, also based on the ARCH LM test. Okay, kung wala bang autocorrelation, okay, ganun din. Consistent with the Yung box test, the ARCH LM test indicates no serial autocorrelation in logs 3, 5, and 7. Also the yung squared naman. Yung squared, tinignan na rin natin to, no? Okay, hindi rin siya autocorrelated. So based on questions 5 and 6, do the residuals behave like white noise? Yes. Okay, based on tests of 5 and 6, where there are no serial correlation among the residuals and also the squared residuals, we infer that the residuals behave like white noise or they are stationary. Do number 5 and 6 indicate our model is valid? Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, itong sign test, guys, I'll skip that kasi medyo mahaba-haba yung discussion nito, no? Okay, you can do some reading on this. Okay, medyo we will have to explain pa muna yung negative at saka positive. But I'm looking at the time, medyo hindi naman ito masyadong importante sa atin. Okay, now ito guys, okay, sign test. Tapos ito ding Niblum stability test. Okay, I'll just leave that first. Okay, ito naman guys, yung adjusted Pearson goodness of fit test. So chi-squared goodness of fit ang ginagamit dito. So kino-compare dito yung empirical distribution ng standardized residuals natin with the theoretical one. Okay, so ang null hypothesis natin dito is that the residuals are normally distributed. Okay, if you take a look at the p-values here, it looks like p-value is less than 0.05. Therefore, we reject the null hypothesis that the residuals are normally distributed. Okay, so ibig sabihin guys, yung assumption natin na normally distributed might not be correct. No? So, baka mas magandang gamitin natin yung T, no? T distribution. Okay? However, guys, may disclaimer diyan, no? Although hindi siya normally distributed, kapag yung data natin is more than 30 according to central limit theorem, guys, no? Pag more than 30 siya, your T distribution could approximate a normal distribution. Okay? Pero mamaya tingnan natin kung ang mangyayari niyan ay may kaibahan dun sa kung gagamitin natin yung T distribution vis-a-vis the normal distribution. Okay. We can plot, guys. We can plot yung mod 1 natin kung ano laman nun. Gamitin lang natin tong all. Okay. And you'll see here 12 different results. Okay. Yung iba dito familiar na kayo. Yung iba medyo bago. And I will leave you guys, for example, itong news impact. Ito maganda to, no? Maganda yung I want you to I want you in your paper to include this, kung ano yung meaning na to. I want you to discover it for yourself. Ano ibig sabihin ng news impact na yan? It seems to be proportional, yung parang mirror image yung negative at saka positive news. Anong implication nun? And kindly discuss that in your work, no? Yung news impact na yan. Ito. Okay. The others, guys, you know, receive returns to, no? Conditional standard deviation versus returns. So this is just a plot of ACF ng returns natin. ACF. Tapos density ng standardized residuals. This shows us that that hindi nga normally distributed yung natin, yung residuals. Tapos dito, yung sa ACF ng standardized residuals, okay, may konting there are a bit of significant lags here. Pero malayo na, no? Dito number 8 na yata to, no? So ito, malayo mga lags na to, no? Pero yung niya, squared residuals, guys, okay, kita natin na white noise talaga siya. Okay, so this is okay. So yung sinasabi natin, guys, na okay yung model natin. Ang ano lang natin yung hindi normally distributed yung residuals natin, which can be answered by the fact that malaki naman yung natin, yung sample size natin. Okay? So all right. Let me leave that. Okay, kasi pupunta pa tayo sa panel. Okay. QQ plot, guys. Okay, ito yung may implication tong symmetry. Okay, there's an application here sa portfolio. This is for portfolio management. So I'll just leave you guys to read through this. I won't discuss that anymore kasi hindi naman yan talaga yung naglagay lang ako ng konting application ito. Ginagamit din tong GARCH, guys, sa portfolio, no? Okay. Now let's use this. Tingnan natin, guys, kung gagamit tayo ng GARCH with SSTD, ito yung students T instead of the normal. Okay? Alright. So this one, we're creating this spec 2. Pareho din, guys, ang naiba lang itong SSTD, no? Yung isa kanina norm. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, dito natin tingnan, no? Alright. So what's the difference? Ganun pa rin S-GARCH 11, RFIMA 000s. Ito na yung distribution, skewed standardized T distribution. And may nadagdag lang, guys, na parameters, no? Yung skew at saka yung shape. Okay? So this has something to do with the distribution. Okay, without looking at the validity of the models first. Information criteria, negative 5.32. So just based on Akaike, sino mas maganda? Yung normalized, yung distribution natin, o yung skewed standardized t distribution? Ito negative 5.32. Let's look at the other one. Ano yung Akaike ni isa? Negative 5.23. So sino mas maliit? Mas maliit yung Akaike ni SSTD. No? This is smaller, negative kasi 5.32. So just using that, guys, to compare between the yung model 1 natin at saka model 2, mas maganda tong si model 2. Okay, and then also the same, guys, tingnan natin residuals, pareho din na na walang autocorrelation. No autocorrelation. Okay, so I'll leave you guys to interpret ano ibig sabihin ng interpretation na tong skew at saka ng shape na to. Naglagay ba ako ng notes dito? Okay, hindi. Tanong lang, no? I just asked. But let's take a look at the plot ng model 2. And what's the difference? Okay, tingnan nyo guys yung no? Take a look. Yung QQ plot niya. Okay, so dito sa SSTD model, guys, na-address yung normality ng residuals. No? Na-address siya. And yung natin, yung ACF natin ng standardized residuals, ganoon din, may mga significant lags, pero malalayo na to, no? Ito, at log 8, merong konti dito at log 4, I think. Pero yung squared residuals, guys, yan, talagang white noise na to. Okay, so that's just a comparison, guys, of the normal at saka yung iba yung ginamit natin. No? All right, there are other models here. Okay, ito, yung GJR GARCH. GJR GARCH. Tingnan lang natin, guys, i-run lang natin. Tingnan natin kung ano yung lumalabas dito sa Gloston, Jagannathan, and Runkel method. No? Okay. Now, may bago ng coefficients na dinagdag. Okay. If you notice, guys, may gamma na, no? May gamma model na dito. So I leave you guys to find out ano yung gamma na yan. So what does the GJR GARCH model measure? Ano yung dinagdag na ano? So what was that for? If you take a look at the natin, no? Akaike 5.33. Kay SSTD, ilan siya? 5.32 negative. So it looks like the GJR GARCH is better compared to the SSTD. Kasi may isang parameter pa siyang dinagdag na significant, no? It's significant, no? To as an inclusion to the model of GJR GARCH, the GARCH model. Tingnan natin yung plot dito. Okay, let's plot model 3. Medyo iniisip ko na, guys, kasi alam nyo na naman, no? Ang what to find out, guys, is ano yung nadagdag na gamma na yan? Ano yung mini-measure niyan? The normality of residuals is okay, walang problema sa normality. So residuals ng ACF ng residuals natin, ganun din, no? Halos pare-pareho sila, may mga significant lags, pero ito at log 4, at log 8, they're almost the same. Tapos ito, pero iba dito, guys, yung news impact curve, no? Medyo na iba yung news impact curve dito. Okay. All right. And then, guys, there are other models here. Ito. Anong difference nito, guys? Dito kinukombine natin si GJR GARCH at saka si ARMA, no? ARMA model. Okay, now let me just do this, no? Would it have mattered, guys, kung ginamit natin yung ARMA model natin, yung kanina, no, yung 2-0. So let me Okay, papalitan ko lang to, guys, ha. Lalagyan ko lang ng 2. No? Lagyan ko ng 2 tapos gawin ko lang spec 1A. No? Para hindi mod 1A, mod 1A. Okay, spec 1A. Okay, so I'll just run this. Ang iba dito, guys, naglagay tayo ng ARMA 2.0. No? Run ko. Ako muna magra-run, guys, tapos tignan nyo kung i-compare natin yung akaiki nila. And then, so mod 1. Okay, mod 1A. Okay, let's see, guys. Take a look at the model. No? All right. If you take a look at our model, guys, tingnan nyo. No? Okay, nagdagdag tayo ng AR1, AR2. Diba? Kasi pinilit natin yung ARMA model natin kanina, linagay natin dito. But take note at the p-values, no? So hindi siya significant. Anong lesson dito? Na pag nag-GARCH model tayo, pag ginagamit natin itong RU GARCH, it doesn't mean na kapag nag-ARMA model na tayo, i-carry over natin yung ARMA model na yun dito sa GARCH model. Remember, separate iba yung GARCH model. May model tayo for returns at saka may model for volatility. So parang sabay natin minomodel. Yung ARIMA model, ang minomodel lang natin yung returns. Ito, both returns and the volatility na sinasabay natin. So tingnan nyo yung nangyari dito sa AR1 at saka AR2. Hindi siya significant. So it didn't matter, guys, no? It didn't matter. Kaya nga pag nang-model tayo nito, sinisimulan lagi natin sa 0, 0. No? So 0. So let me put this back. Okay, so may iba pang models dito, guys. I will leave that merong GJR GARCH in min. Okay. Ano naman yung GARCH in min? Maglalagay tayo ng additional parameters, no? Arch mean true, okay, arch power 2. So medyo maiiba, no? GJR GARCH and then distribution model. So just for purposes of discussion, let's quickly let's just run this. So combination na to, no? GARCH in min. GJR GARCH in min. So let's take a look at the parameters. So nagbabago-bago, guys, sa parameters, no? Tingnan nyo, no? Here. So this is GARCH model GJR GARCH 1.1. Okay. And then take a look at this one. Merong mean yung arch. No? Okay. May mu na, may arch mean pa, no? And then omega, alpha 1, beta 1, may gamma. Tapos andi dito yung SSTD kasi yun ang ginamit natin, yung skew at saka yung shape. Alright. So let me pause there, guys. Okay. So that in a nutshell is what GJR GARCH model measures. Yun ang minomodel ni GARCH. It allows us to model volatility clustering. So it's very famous, GARCH. It's very famous class sa pagmamodel ng mga returns. Kasi talaga pag stock returns ang tinitingnan natin, nagkakaroon talaga ng volatility clustering. So you do not model volatility clustering using ARIMA. Hindi niya kakayanin. So that's why you have to use GARCH. Okay? All right. So let's may questions ba, guys? Okay, no question. Okay, sige. Alright, so stop recording ko na to, no? Stop recording.